This is my diversity reflection presentation. I will be going over what I think would be the three best teaching practices, and definitely these are specific to what I could improve on as well. The first being implementing co-teaching, second would be providing feedback, and the third providing choices. So first, with implementing co-teaching, this is a highly effective method of teaching. There's lots of research. There's a class here at Baker that will go over using co-teaching. This really gives more adults in the room for the students to see as role models, and this is something that Payne says a lot that would help with especially students from poverty. If they can have some role models, they're more likely to get out of poverty. Um, it also lowers the teacher to student ratio in classrooms. Just getting more eyes on kids generally will be less behavior problems if that's the case. I have not done exceptionally well utilizing my paras in the past, so that is something I'm looking to improve on. So my SMART goal here would be to utilize my paras in a co-teaching model. And I'm going to do this by getting control of a small portion of my classroom to my para at least 3 times a week. How I plan on achieving this is by allowing my para to be responsible for our bell work or our lesson review in the first 5 minutes of class. So whether this is reviewing the material from the day before, or maybe pre-teaching something that is going to be lectured on during class or later in the week, that I would give that responsibility over to them. This is relevant just based on the academic advantages for students in co-taught classrooms. And I would like this to be in full implementation about 4 weeks into the school year. That should give us enough time to iron out some of the details and for both me and my para to get on the same page to be able for this to work. My next strategy for or best practice would be providing choices. I think providing choices allows students to make choices based on their personal preferences. I think giving them the option on something gives them a sense of empowerment over their work, and once they have that sense of empowerment, this really allows them to take ownership of their own learning. Uh, in order for this to work, though, a lot of students are going to need to be coached up on what their choices could be. An example is in my elective, where it's my problem solving class where we play some board games. If I give them options on just maybe 3 games, I'll see a lot of kids gravitate to the game that they've actually heard of before. Whereas if I were to actually take a step back and coach them up on what these different games are, or what games it is like that they played before, they usually can have. My SMART goal should be measured by seeing students using a variety of note-taking methods in class. Um, Once again, this would only be achieved by coaching up students on the different types of note-taking strategies. So what I envision this being is, you could have just a straight up traditional paper and pencil note-taking strategy where they're just taking notes with bulleted points on notebook paper. Some other options would be providing guided notes for them, working out of a workbook, or one that I've used in the past that kids really like or seem to like is making flip books. So getting some construction paper, folding them, stapling them, and then just kind of creating this flip book that gives them easy access to everything we've went over. I think this is relevant because the type of note taking isn't really that important that the students are doing. The important part of this is that the students are actually taking notes that they can understand and they can relate back to be able to get information they needed. For my timetable here, I would like this to be started at the beginning of the second quarter. A little longer timetable just because I would need to coach up these kids on maybe the first unit will be they will have to use strategy A. In my second unit, they have to use strategy B, and so on. I sometimes do really good on, but sometimes I don't do very good on. is providing feedback to students. Providing feedback in a timely manner allows the teacher to build relationships with students. It helps build the rapport, and just like Payne would say, building rapport with students, building these relationships, being a good role model helps kids, and this helps all kids, but especially students that are in poverty, allowing them to be able to transcend from that. Providing feedback instantly, it builds students' confidence in their ability. As I saw in my observation, Mr. Pack, in his lesson on how tall is the flagpole, he was able to gather all of these students' answers immediately before the class was over, put them into a graph, and then students were able to see how close their answers were to everybody else's. And because there was this, cluster of data, all these students felt pretty confident in the way that they went about the problem. They probably got the correct answer. A couple of things that I use already that give really good instant feedback is I use IXL and iReady lessons. IXL is just kind of a drill and practice for some math problems. If they're getting answers right, their score goes up. If they're getting answers wrong, their score goes down. So if they're getting them right, they know that they're doing it right. It helps build that confidence right away. If their score is going down, that's when they kind of realize that, hey, I need a little bit of help on this, and usually by then they come seek out an adult in the room. iReady lessons, they are something that my district uses. It's whatever skill level the students are at, that's the lessons that get pushed out to them. And once again, if they pass the lesson, they get that feedback right away, and they can see that they pass. They get a great job or something along that lines. So it helps build their confidence. My SMART goal for here, this would be the part where I'm kind of lacking in some of my feedback, is that I am going to try to have students test graded and ready to be handed back within 2 days of giving the test. Sometimes I slack a little bit on getting these back to them. Part of the goal is the measurable part as well, hand it back within 2 days. Really, this can be accomplished by me utilizing my time better. I don't always jump right into grading the tests as they come in. So I need to make sure to begin grading as soon as these tests are turned in to be able to get them back within that 2 days. It's relevant because providing timely feedback helps these students improve their learning. It helps build that rapport with them by them seeing that you're taking the time out of your day to make sure to get that feedback to them in a timely manner. My timetable here would be that every test get returned in a timely manner, so just starting with the first test that I give. So those are what I think the 3 best practices for teaching diverse learners would be. And I think all 3 of these would be really good for any educator, but definitely these 3 for me specifically what I believe in. Thank you.